Hello, everybody. My name is Shayna, aka Natural Beauty. And I'm just basically going to share with you today the reasoning behind why I embraced my natural hair at the age of 28. I'm not going to give you a long, drawn out introduction because if you're anything like me, you just think it's unnecessary. So I'm just going to get right into the story. So basically, my natural gray hair journey started at the age of 15, and I didn't even notice it at first. There was a boy who was actually sitting behind me. He's like, "You got gray hair." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I couldn't believe it because, when you're young, you think old people or older people are the only ones who have gray hair. And so, I spent all of my high school years trying to hide it because I did get my first gray in freshman year. So at the time I had longer hair, I had a perm. So I feel like it was easier to see it. And so just as the years went by in high school, I just started noticing more and more and more. I was even pulling them out. I was asking my friend, "Oh my gosh, are my grays showing today?" And she'd tell me no. And then I would just try to comb my dark hair over the gray hair, and it was a mess. When I hit 20, I started getting a lot more, and it started to turn into a little streak. And that's when a lot more people started to notice it. And they'd be like, "Oh, what are you so stressed about?" And just things like that. And just little smart remarks here and there, "Oh, you got great hair, right?" Obviously I look at myself in the mirror. But those things used to just kind of annoy me, but I still didn't cover it. But I was annoyed. I would wear a hat most of the time. And it just was what it was. And then finally, when I hit about 25, it was so much gray hair. It was so noticeable. And then it went from this one patch over here, and it started spreading to this side. This side is not that bad. But I noticed that it was spreading. So then I started to try to cover it up with the spray that they have for gray hair, which worked, but it wasn't permanent. I also did rinses. But the rinses would probably last maybe a few washes. And then over time, the rinse will get lighter and lighter. And then you can see the gray hair more and more. So yeah, I just tried to hide it. I was tired of the comments and stuff like that. And then at 27, I cut my hair. I've been natural since 2011, but I transitioned when I became natural. However, when I turned 27, so at the end of 2019, I did a big chop. And I had a Caesar haircut, and I dyed it burgundy. And then once the burgundy grew out, my hair was I had this huge patch. It looks very similar to how it did now. And then I noticed more and more people were "Oh, that looks really cool. And you look like Rogue from X-Men. And I thought you dyed your hair like that." And then I would just look in the mirror, and I'm "Yo, this actually does look really cool." So yeah, I've just kind of been rocking out with it since then. So the reasoning why I think I have gray hair at such a young age is because I'm assuming that it's genetics, because on my dad's side, they do go gray kind of early. I have an aunt who went gray in her 20s or 30s, and then my dad like started going gray in his 30s. So like I'm 28, I got my first one at 15, but like it was nothing like how it is now. This is like a whole patch, and then I have a few like throughout my hair, but it's mostly concentrated right here. But other people say like it could be as a result of like stress and stuff like that. I mean, possibly, because like I used to work a very stressful job. So it could be that, and just not knowing how to deal with stress for so long, like I was just internalizing a lot of things and whatever. So I mean, it could have played a part into it, but I think it's mostly genetics. But then people also associate gray hair with wisdom. I'd like to think I'm pretty wise. So maybe it could be all three. I have no idea. But it's beautiful to me because a lot of women who are going gray earlier and earlier are embracing it. You know, I know I'm not the first YouTuber who's made a video about having gray hair, you know, at such a young age. And it's wonderful because not everybody wants to cover themselves up to fit into this like picture of like, you know, what's normal in society. Like, just because I'm a young woman, you know, doesn't mean I have to have black hair. And then I remember once upon a time ago, people were dyeing their hair gray. I don't know if that's still like a trend, but people were doing it. And so I have my hair like this naturally. So like, I'm embracing it. I did another big chop at the end of 2020. And, you know, I've just been like, you know what? I'm just gonna embrace this, and it is what it is. But one thing I will say is that gray hair, like when you start going gray, it does change your natural hair texture. Like I've noticed like more and more that I'm starting to get straight hairs out of nowhere. Like my hair is just so many different textures. It's crazy. I'm a multi-textured natural. I think that's the term for it. And my hair is like straight in some parts, wavy in some parts, like a little bit coarse in some parts, curly in some parts. Like it's just so many different textures. So, you know, like just keep that in mind if you do decide to start embracing your natural hair. Your natural gray hair. But honestly, my hair's like this for a reason, and it just makes me feel more unique. I know I stand out from the crowd, or stand out in the crowd maybe. And that's really it. Like, you know, just embrace what you have, because you were made this way for a reason. And that's really it. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Like, share, and subscribe, and see you guys in my next video.